Hello everyone and welcome back into HTFC, the home of football here on the Hitting the Field Network. We hope you enjoyed your spring break, but we are back. I'm your host as always, Edgar Rodriguez.
And I'm Patrick Deleon, and today we've got Sean Vaz
for the
joining
first
us
time. Debut
for
on
the first segment.
HTFC. Welcome,
Yes.
Sean.
On-air debut. We've got UEFA Nations League, CONCACAF Nations League, Libertadores group stage preview,
That's right.
and a little bit of Orlando Pride action at the end of the show. But before we get started, as always, Edgar, what jersey
I am donning the famous red and white of the glorious Arsenal, Sean. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you in this particular. The 2019-2020 home shirt. Nothing special, but a clean, modern classic, I'll call it. How about you? You went with Asian.
Yes, so I'm doing Japan's
Football, yes.
home World Cup jersey from 2022. So it has Minamino on the back.
Okay.
So I love this jersey. It's one of my favorite ones I have. I really like it.
We got international break theme going on.
Yes.
Sean, what are you wearing?
I'm donning the USA 2021 away jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, so
what do you have on the back?
It's actually my custom jersey.
It's yours. Nice.
Yeah, it's my
there
custom
you go.
jersey.
Number 14.
Yeah, I have the same one. I was gonna wear it today too, but something told me not to. So I was like, I'll do something different. So
awesome.
Let's get started.
Well, I think we're ready to jump into it. We're gonna start close to home at SoFi Stadium in LA. The CONCACAF Nations League semis and finals took place, and we're going to start with semifinal number 1, Mexico against Canada. And boys, the story of this one was Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
Sean, I'll start with you. Scored in the first minute, and then a beautiful golazo from a free kick, and sent Mexico through against a Canada team who would have favored themselves going into this.
Yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed in Canada. I thought the amount of quality they have, obviously, I think they have one of the top strikers in that kind of category with Jonathan David, but watching Raul Jimenez, he is quality. He doesn't play like he used to after he did get injured from his head against Arsenal back in COVID.
It's a miracle he's playing.
Yeah, it's a really good sign that he's playing, and he's just back to what he does best. Goal scoring.
How many years has he scored straight for the Mexican national? 13?
13 straight years.
Wow.
The longest streak in Mexican national team history. He's certainly a legend when it comes to Mexican national football. But Patrick, this Mexico team came into this tournament on a poor run of form. I mean, we were talking about Mexico as like, a shadow of their former selves, but they turned it on, and this game kicked it all off.
As we go in a little bit more depth in all the other games, a lot of these teams, I feel like, were just not what everybody kind of expected them to be. I expected Mexico to not beat Canada. I expected Canada to probably be the favorites, right? But again, like you said, with the likes of like Jonathan David up top, or even Alphonso Davies in the back, and all these other guys, Stefan Estacio in the midfield, you would expect them to handle business, but they really couldn't do it. And so Canada gets sent to the third place match.
That's right. We'll get to that a little later. But yes, Mexico through to the final. How about the other semifinal? Now, Patrick, we were talking about this previously. This was both my least favorite moment of the international break. Of course, the U.S. sent home by Panama, but it was also my favorite moment. You know why? Because Cecilia Waterman, what an inspiring story. Just to give a little context, back in 2013 for qualifying for the Brazil World Cup, he was part of the Panama team, missed a huge chance in one of their games, and kind of went off the radar, but recent performances at the club level in South America brought him back. He was selected for the Panamanian team again. And this moment is one of the most famous goals in Panama national team history. 93rd minute, an incredible finish to that far post, beating Matt Turner. Questions about his positioning. But my goodness, what a famous goal, what a famous celebration with Thierry Henry pitch side. My king Thierry Henry, I love to see that. But my goodness, the U.S. men's national team, where do we begin?
I mean, look at the numbers real quick. One shot on goal.
And that was it. It
on
came
the far
in the 93rd
post
minute.
at the end of the game. Turner, what are you doing? Oh my God. He was just...
It was a good finish. I don't want to take anything away from Waterman.
Yes, it was a good finish, but
he was hugging the near post.
He was just kissing the near post.
He was.
And I don't know, what do you take from this, Sean? Because
I mean, like you just said, if you look at the board, it's kind of just how this international break went for the U.S. in general, right? We were able to pass the ball, move it along, but in the end, it's just the one goal that matters and can just send us home. And just for the U.S., if you're Mauricio Pochettino, you kind of just have to look and just be disappointed in what was just what I say was just an underwhelming international break.
100%.
But would you say this falls more on him or the players themselves?
I mean,
it's a bit of both.
It's kind of just, you have to look, the players also have to look at the performances that they put in. Some of these players play at the top level. You have Christian Pulisic, Yunus Musa, Weston McKennie, who all play for Serie A, right? One of the best leagues in the world, for some of the best teams in the world. And they just can't.
Underperform.
I don't understand.
Underperform.
It's a completely different mentality when it comes to the national team than it is for their clubs. I don't understand. I really don't.
We've talked about this plenty of times, Patrick. The expectations around this team, should they be tempered a little bit? I've always been on the cautious side, on the pessimistic side. Patrick likes to say we might win the World Cup next year.
Hey, I didn't say I've never said that.
We had an argument about this last episode.
Yes.
I don't think we'll reach the semifinal
I
anytime
agree
soon.
with that.
I don't think so. And I said 20 years, maybe that's a push, but I don't see it. I think the expectation on this team, the best U.S. men's national team we've ever seen. Sure, that might be true, but I don't know. I think the expectation, especially since it's a home World Cup, especially since this team has earned it. I mean, it's earned the the praise, the pressure that we've put on them so far. But I mean, time and time again, they seem to fall whenever the lights shine bright.
It wasn't just against Panama. It was also against Canada.
That's right. In the third final game,
2-1. Yes. I mean,
another poor performance.
What are we doing?
Another just like. When these players come together with the U.S. men's national team, whether it's the pressure, whether it's the expectation, they seem to fall short. I wanted to ask you, Sean, it's an interesting question too, because it's obviously hypothetical, but if the U.S. didn't get that automatic spot for hosting the World Cup, how do you think this team would perform in World Cup qualifying? CONCACAF is tricky.
I think we would have just qualified, but not really convincing. I don't think we're going to get past, if we get grouped with at least two even like mid-level decent teams.
I agree.
We might not even get past the group stage.
We will struggle, Patrick. You're optimistic for this World Cup.
I am.
This surely kind of
oh no, it absolutely rings the alarm bells.
Yes,
that's without a doubt. Because again, like I've told you before, it's not like they have a lot of opportunities left to kind of gel together. We only have the Gold Cup in the summer, a couple more friendlies, and then it's the World Cup.
And let's be honest, the Gold Cup, I mean, is it the level
necessarily the best
that you really want to be playing? Not really. It's going to coincide with the Club World Cup this summer. FIFA has already prioritized that competition, so who knows what the squad is going to look like. There are a few friendlies scheduled against Switzerland and Turkey, but those friendlies, it's kind of nothing games for the European teams who have World Cup qualifying to worry about. And for the U.S. men's national team, it's going to just be, we kind of dead rubber games, really. Not the level you want to be playing at leading up to the World Cup. One last thing before we move on from the U.S. men's national team. How much pressure is on Poch?
I think a lot more now.
After this, has to be.
It has to be a lot because I think everybody understands also the situation we're in. And the reality is that, with a guy with his caliber, right, we should not be performing like this. It's not just him, but also, like we've said before, the quality of all the players in general.
One thing I will add, when you think of Mauricio Pochettino, he's coached clubs, right? We have to think of club level, right? There's Southampton, there's Tottenham, and then there's most recently Chelsea.
And PSG.
And PSG, yes, of course. When you think of clubs, right, you think of players and coaches who meet on almost a day-by-day basis.
Absolutely. International football is completely different.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so he has to get used to that style of management. I completely agree with you on that. But it's going to be interesting to see how the U.S. men's national team bounces back from this, because two absolutely horrendous performances leaves them in a tricky position. But
I will say Diego Luna is kind of
got the goal against Canada.
He should have been called up way sooner.
He showed probably the most passion, the most hunger in that third place match, which was dead for the most part.
The final.
There was a final. The U.S. men's national team was not the biggest story, and that was Mexico. End of the day, 2 penalties was the story of this match. Just a mind-boggling, heartbreaking way to lose for Panama. put the arm out. The only reason I can explain is that he expected an attacker to be on his side and just kind of put his arm out.
But it's like,
but you have no excuse.
It's kind of just standard. You just keep it down.
Yeah.
Keep it down.
In there.
What are you? It's like all the way up here.
Yeah, and there's no argument. There's no argument.
You can't really argue.
And especially Mexico have one of the best penalty takers in the world. You told me he's only missed one in his career.
Jimenez has only missed one in his entire career.
Jimenez slotted it home and just stood on the spot. How cold can you get to win the first Nations League trophy for Mexico? And when we look at, comparatively, right, the U.S. men's national team not too confident heading into the World Cup, just over a year away from that. Mexico under Javier Aguirre, they look like they're getting a bit of momentum now.
Yeah, they definitely are going to take this as like a stepping stone into the right direction because we've seen where they've been the last couple of years. So it's definitely a huge confidence builder for them. I don't still think they're quite at the level that everybody expects them to ever, to always be at. But they're working slowly, better, kind of recovering from the ruins that they were just in, right? Slowly but surely they're getting there.
Absolutely. Let's move on then to UEFA Nations League because we saw quarterfinal action, and we're going to start at Dortmund Signal Iduna Park because Germany played out a 3-3 draw against Italy. We're going to go quick fire with these, 1 point each. The goal for the second goal for Germany. Italy caught out from the corner kick. Kimmich and Musiala connecting.
Fall asleep like
crazy.
No. And it's something that me and Edgar were confused. Was like, wait, can you be offsides on a corner?
And you can't, like directly from a corner. So obviously, it was all good.
So I mean,
it was all good
that's
to go.
It always reminds me of like the corner taken quickly against Barcelona.
Right.
That's like the first thing. So
it was
Italy, they will definitely regret having that mistake in the back because they just lost.
They had a huge second half. They came back, but that 2-1 loss in the first leg
got 2 goals, and then Raspadori with the last-minute penalty.
That's right. That's right. But Germany taking that 2-1 advantage into the second leg proved to be decisive in Germany. How about France? A little more nervy for Didier Deschamps' men. They lost 2-0 in Croatia, but they beat Croatia 2-0 at the Stade de France, which meant penalty kicks and went down to the 7th round of penalties. Sean, Dayo Upamecano slotting home. But, I mean, if you look at the stats, it was complete domination.
Yeah. And for me, something you brought up, too, off camera was, does this kind of raise a little bit of a question mark for France? Because they did lose away to Croatia. But
It does. For me, it does, because this is a Croatia team that's still going. An aging Croatia team, and we saw them take a France team with the attacking options. Let me just read them off real quick. Doué, Olise, Mbappe, Barcola, Kolomuani, Dembele. I mean, that's 6 world-class attackers right there. Youth just pouring all over the front line for France. Of course, now it's a matter of finding the right balance. Of course, you can't play all of them. But I do think it's a little worrying for France. They should, theoretically, be more comfortable against a team like Croatia, but on the international level, you can never count them out. Portugal, Denmark. Now, this was another intriguing one. Denmark winning the first leg at home. In the second leg, we saw Ronaldo miss a penalty early, and we know how that can affect them mentally. Eventually went on to score later in the match. This one went into extra time because of a Trincao 86-minute goal to make it 3-2, 3-3 in aggregate. 2 extra time goals, sending Portugal through. Craziness all over.
This was definitely one of the more interesting ties, I think, during this period. Because Portugal, I don't know, they're so weird. They can lose away, right? Like again against Denmark and look pretty uncomfortable on the field, and they come back home and then they're a completely different team, right? It's never. I don't feel like they've ever been able to truly find that perfect mix with all their players, because I feel like they have so much quality all the time. You see they have so many stars, but when it comes to the national team, it's kind of like another situation of I don't feel like they can really show up properly, or I don't know. There's something weird about this national. I like them, but there's just something weird that can never fully get me sold on them.
Real quick, yes or no answer. Is Ronaldo holding them back?
I think it's time to move on. I like Ronaldo, but I think it's time to move on.
Although the truth is, Roberto Martinez is never going to take him out of the starting lineup.
I don't think so.
Not with the ego and the presence that Ronaldo has.
I think the big one here that we got to talk about.
The most exciting one. We left the best for last.
Of the international break, I think. This is the game. I mean, it was just non-stop, back-to-back action. I loved it. I loved it.
Look at the passes.
Incredible.
From both teams just shared everything, I feel like.
Complete, just incredible. 210 minutes over the two legs. Just to quickly preview what we have coming up in the semifinals, we have Germany, Portugal, and Spain, France, two very enticing matches. We don't have time to go in depth on them currently because we have to move on. CONCACAF Libertadores is next. Sean, thank you so much for joining. We hope you come back to HTFC. Hopefully have more time to talk more football.
Thank you.
But stay tuned because, again, we're going to South America next. Let's see what the group stage have in store.
Behind every on-screen moment is a whole team of engineers and technologists.
And you can be a part of such a team through SMT at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SMT at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SMT for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There, we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SMT at UCF.
Alrighty, everyone, and just like that, after a mammoth first segment of this HTFC episode 8, we're back to talk South American Libertadores, and doing that is our very own assistant producer, Giovana Vicentin. How are you doing today?
I'm good, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect.
Yes.
So the group stage are set, ready to go in Libertadores. Patrick, why don't you get us started with what Group A has to offer?
So we picked out 3 groups. So the first one, Group A, that includes Botafogo, Carabobo, Estudiantes, and Universidad de Chile.
That's right.
By the side note, I love the logo for Carabobo. I don't know why. Something about it. It just reminds. It's nice.
I was researching them. They were founded in '97 only, so new.
So new that I have no information on them. They've, but I think the real talking point here is Botafogo.
What a 2024 season they had. Even as a Palmeiras fan, you have to admit they were on fire last season, winning the Libertadores, winning the Brasileiro. How do you think they're going to do this season, though? Do you think they're going to continue on their momentum from last season?
I think they are, I don't know what to expect because, on the final for the last Libertadores, it was against Atlético Mineiro.
Yeah.
And they had a red card on the first, 30 minutes. So they played the 2 halves with 10 on the field, and they still won. Yeah. I think it was 3-1, the final score. So it's insane.
It is.
But they do, in Brazil, we say pipocar. It's like a popcorn, so they just pop. So sometimes they have it right and then they go wrong.
Yeah.
And so we don't know. I mean, I do believe that they're going to go far because they have a great team and they set good expectations from previous seasons. So I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see.
They do play your Palmeiras first round of the league.
That's right.
How are you feeling about that as a Palmeiras fan?
I mean,
are you excited?
What a huge game to get us started. Right. My goodness, right into the deep end.
Yeah, I think that I like when we play them because it's always a good game. I mean, when we were fighting for the championship, we were playing each other. They were winning 3-0, and then we switched the score to 4-3.
That's right. Wow.
So, I don't know. I'm excited. It's going to be a good game, but hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think Botafogo will continue to be one of the favorites for the tournament. Let's move on to Group B. River Plate.
Your River Plate,
yes,
Patrick.
I do love River Plate. So, I'm already biased right there. Universitario de Lima, Independiente, and Barcelona SC.
From Ecuador.
So, of course, River Plate, historic, gigantic club in South America in general.
Listen to the passion.
But I'm just saying, I love River Plate. They're the favorites in this group.
Absolutely.
They'll be one of the favorites as always. There's nothing new from them.
One of the other talking points, though, is Barcelona. They beat Corinthians 3-2 in the qualification third round to find their way into Group B. Who do you think can challenge River Plate in this group, Ju?
I think, unfortunately, not Universitario.
Yeah.
I mean, they always qualify, but unfortunately, they never pass.
No.
So, I mean, Independiente, I know that they are a hard team to get through.
They are, and they've had a rough start in the league.
Yeah.
Only 6 points in their first 5 games, so maybe it is going to be a slightly smooth group stage for River Plate.
It should be, because they're the giants in this group.
Absolutely.
I don't expect really them to have any issue. But sometimes they do fumble on the smaller games, and I don't really understand. They're kind of inconsistent at points.
They made it to semis of
Libertadores
last year,
and I expect them to do kind of the same.
Yeah.
You know, they have a great squad. I expect them to, and El Monumental is also just an insanely hard place to play at as well. The energy is insane.
We were talking about that Argentina-Brazil game that happened recently.
Yes.
That was at El Monumental.
Yes,
Sorry, Gio, to bring it up.
Yes, it was.
You know, and so, that was just like a teaser for what's to come. Because when those River Plate fans pack that place out, I mean, all over South America, we see great atmospheres, but El Monumental is up there.
It's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, and on that group, I mean, River Plate is going to qualify because they have that tradition, that Libertadores tradition. So it's going to be between Universitario, Barcelona, and Independiente. But I do think that if I have to bet, it's not going to be easy to go past Barcelona either because they did really well in the Pre-Libertadores.
Yeah.
But I would say that Independiente will probably go through.
Interesting. And all these matchups, like we talk about, you know, no easy games. That is most true, I think, in South America. I mean, when you go up to these away stadiums up in Ecuador and in Peru and
because
Bolivia,
of the altitude, that's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about a Bolivian team in the next group, so I'll save that for this next group. Group G was the other one you wanted to focus on, Patrick. Of course, you was Palmeiras in Group G for this season. They're second in Paulista right now, state championship. You want to give us a little recap of how that's going?
How are you feeling?
Yeah, so right now, today, we have the second game for the final against Corinthians. It's always a hard game to play a derby, especially if it's a final, because it doesn't matter if, the other team is worse or you're better.
It's
like,
a one-off.
It's a final, it's a derby, so it's the weight of the shirt, and we're playing in their stadium.
Oof.
So it's going to be hard, but we'll see.
Crazy.
And then how do you feel about this group heading into Libertadores? Because that starts really soon. So how are you feeling? Obviously, Palmeiras, I expect them to go through. They're the favorite.
It's another River Plate situation.
Who do you think could maybe cause you some difficulty?
I think, playing in altitude, you never know.
Yeah.
So in Libertadores, there's no easy group. They always say, you got the easy group, but there's no easy group.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. And what we always say is that when you're playing a team that is in altitude, you have to get the score at home and then or either hold the score when you're there or, see what you can do. Because it's very hard, especially for players that are not used to.
Yeah.
So if we have players that play in altitude, they're more used to playing there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think Sporting Cristal is gonna be that hard. We've played them before, unfortunately, I don't think.
This should be an easy group for you guys.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be.
And talking about the altitude, Bolivia, the national team, has taken advantage of that this World Cup qualifying so far. All the time. We saw them draw 0-0 with Uruguay. I saw a picture of Jose Maria Jimenez taking oxygen at the end of the match because it's so difficult. You're talking 10,000 feet up in Bolivia.
It does. You feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it.
And the way the ball moves even is different. You can take a shot from 40 yards out and it'll trouble the keeper just the way it flies at that altitude. So those little things come into play. So Bolivar, of course, the Giants from Bolivia, 33 times Primera División winners. That stood out to me.
I think they're the best team.
By far.
In Bolivia.
Sure. By far.
I think that kind of alone sums it up, right? 33 times.
Yeah. They start their league this week as well, so that's going to be interesting. Of course, South America follows a different calendar to the likes of Europe or the likes of North America. How about Cerro Porteño from Paraguay? Fourth in Paraguay right now, already 11 points from the top, though, because Libertad has already opened up a massive lead. 26 points in the first 10 games. So... maybe scraping through in second?
Yeah, I would be surprised if they're one of those teams that are just going to try to prioritize this. Because I'm sure they kind of look at the gap and say, okay, maybe it might not be doable this year. Focus on Libertadores. Specifically, focus on beating Palmeiras. That's the big game for all of these teams. It's always going to be Palmeiras in this group. But again, Palmeiras, they're the favorites in this group. I don't expect them to have any trouble. It'd be very, very surprising if they do.
Yeah, 100%.
I do think that the games, the hard ones, will be the away game with Bolivar and then Cerro Porteño. I do think because they are always in Libertadores, so you have that feeling.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think that it would either be Bolívar or Cerro Porteño, but I would say Cerro will probably
Any teams outside of these groups that you might be worried about? Of course, I was looking through all the other ones. Flamengo in Group C.
Yes.
We got Internacional playing up against Atlético Nacional from Colombia. That's going to be a huge one in Group F. We have others like Sao Paulo playing Libertad, like I mentioned, from Paraguay. So,
and you know who's not here?
Who's not?
Boca
Juniors. That is
they got eliminated by
Alianza
Lima. Yes.
Alianza Lima, who are in Group D.
Yes.
What an incredible game that was. I almost forgot about that.
That was crazy.
Because they missed like a 98th minute shot that would have equalized. Wow. Boca Juniors will not be in Libertadores.
Which is kind of crazy.
It is.
Kind of crazy.
It is, but that's a great place to actually end it. Gio, thank you so much for joining us on segment 2. We have time for just one more. We're going to talk Orlando Pride and their brilliant start. Also, a debutante for HTFC, so stay tuned.
Hello. So I guess the crew's getting ready for the next segment on one of our amazing shows. I'm Nick Cohen, host of season 20 of Hitting the Field, and let me tell you about those amazing shows. On behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content, but I'm here to tell you about everything else we offer here at the network. Mondays at 4, HTF Bets goes live for season 10 with 3 gamblers that, although it may not always seem like it, are here to help us all earn a little bit of extra money while we watch sports. Diego Ortiz, Tyler Brownrigg, and Andrew Gregg's ball knowledge and fun personalities make this show a fan favorite. On Tuesdays, you all loved it, so we brought it back for season 2. It's Girls Got Game, hosted by Frankie Noble, a show blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next is everyone's favorite sports podcast, The Combine, hosted by who other than Ty Patton, an easygoing, conversational, and technical podcast dropping Wednesdays, also on Spotify at The Combine. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for the network's main show, season 20 of Hitting the Field, hosted by me. Here, we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure. We love some football, basketball, hockey, F1. We also cover baseball, soccer, and we even have to show the UFC love sometimes. Penultimately, TGIF, because Friday is nighttime, hosted by Kathleen Moore and Matthew Bracker. Season 8 of Nighttime is where you'll turn to for all things March Madness, UCF sports, and other collegiate events. We're ending with something brand new. HTFN has never had 6 shows running at once. Also filmed in our new podcast studio is HTFC, hosted by Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick Deleon. Football, or soccer in America, is the most popular sport in the world. Across multiple leagues and cups, soccer is a year-round sport, and HTFC is your news source to stay updated. Also on Spotify, by the way, at HTFC. Outside of our 6-show roster, be sure to tune in to our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog, run by our vlog squad of Brianna St. Jean, Michaela Croker, Ashley Rowe, and Ben Huber. Make sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and X to stay updated on all HTFN news. Remember to subscribe right here on YouTube, leave a like and comment, and with that, I think we're ready for your next segment. I'm Nick Cohen. Thank you for your continued support, and back to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. We have finally made it to segment 3, and joining us is a new guest as well, Mariana Ardila. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
No, of course. Finally, we're able to get you on. Of course, we had been trying all semester long, but finally found some free time. You are wearing the shirt of the wrong London team, but that's okay. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. we'll let it slide for this one. I won't. No. I won't take it personally this time. Yeah, Brian. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the main topic for this one, and that is, of course, Orlando Pride, winning their first ever NWSL title last year.
And the Shield.
They just completely, romped everyone else. Just took care of the competition last year in NWSL. What were your main takeaways from last season? Let's start there.
Oh, I mean, Seb Hines is an amazing coach.
Incredible.
He's one of the best coaches in women's soccer across the globe as well. Orlando Pride. Let's start off.
Let's do it. Let's go straight into the highlights.
Through. Haley McCutcheon cuts it in and scores from just on the edge of the box.
That's
early
right.
on,
It was a
6
good
minutes
start.
in. So, a great start. First game of the season as well. Chicago, they're not the best in NWSL, to be honest.
No, they're probably going to struggle.
They struggled a bit last
season.
year. We knocked them out in the playoffs last year pretty early on, and it was a pretty dominating score. Here, Aliwa off the corner, header
Flick on.
all the way to the back of the net. Beautiful header. I mean, great delivery as well. She gets in front of the defender.
Ball. The keeper nowhere near it.
No chance here. Marta, of course, with that excellent service as always. That's just what she does.
Absolutely.
And then from here, Ali, I mean, just look at the air that Ali Watt gets right here.
Early jump.
Nobody can. She's really tall as well, so nobody could just mark her. Here, just an own goal from Chicago. Nothing to really write home about. Kind of just a mess in the bag.
Put the ball in. You never know what can happen.
And then Barbara
Fourth
Banda,
goal.
She squares it. Julie Doyle, right
bottom corner,
left corner.
Beautiful
she
finish.
Just slots her right home.
And Banda, taking that momentum from last season into this one, incredible for the 4-0. And then Barbara Banda did it herself for the 5th goal, as we see the 4th once again. I mean, brilliant ball.
Just perfect placement. That's all it's about, placement. And then right here, Barbara Banda, she picks it up from the new signing. Barbara Banda forces it through, placement. That's all it is. As a striker, it's all about
no keeper's ever getting there.
No.
And I mean, she's one of the top talents in the NWSL.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she's going to continue to, be one of the top scorers in the league and potentially drive Pride.
This was the cherry on top. From way out. One of my favorite goals from that weekend across
the keeper.
All
Look
soccer.
at this.
Yeah.
Just her reading of the game. She knew exactly what she was going to do. She knew exactly what she was going to do, but I think that highlights the frailties that Chicago Stars has as well.
For sure. It was a terrible giveaway in the bag, but Banda, she just capitalizes on it. She knows what to do from there.
Finish.
So, perfect start to that first game, 6 goals. Of course, they go to Gotham, beat them 2-0. Kind of a chippier game, but now they're at 8 goals, 0 conceded so far.
Perfect start, Mari.
Yeah.
Perfect start for the Pride.
Do you have anything you take away from their performances so far, or even from last year?
Barbara Banda is just such a quality player.
So good.
I think it's definitely a player that other teams in the NWSL need to look out for because she's definitely going to lead Pride into a successful journey for this season.
Yeah.
We just had to look out for the Washington Spirit. I think they're on our back again because of last year.
Yeah, they did beat them in the Challenge Cup earlier.
Right. That's right.
So
a little
Pride cannot add a little bit more silverware.
Yeah. But you know what? They won the game that mattered last year.
They did.
And
they did.
So we'll quickly move on.
Would you say it's realistic that the Pride could potentially, if they keep this form, repeat again this year with another title?
From the way it looks, yes. I mean, who starts off their opening match 6-0?
Yeah, crazy.
Definitely for the Bucks. So.
I do think that it's a definitely a real possibility. I would be extremely surprised if they don't at least make the final.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the quality to. They certainly have the quality
They'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I would be extremely surprised if they don't make the final, because aside from Orlando Pride, the only other team I could realistically think of that is competitive enough would be the Current.
Perfect segue, because I wanted to talk about them too. 6 points, the Pride and the Current, the only 2 perfect teams already in the first 2 rounds, and that just shows the competitive level and nature of the NWSL. They've beaten the Spirit 2-0 and the Thorns 3-1. Chawinga again is driving that boat over in
2 very
in KC.
Competitive forwards up on both sides.
Yeah, and they played in the semis, right? The Pride and the Current. Pride winning out an incredible game here in Orlando. That was so entertaining. Can we see another matchup potentially in the playoffs?
I wouldn't.
Will this become a little rivalry?
I think it kind of is, because you look back early on last season, right? The Pride snapped Current's unbeaten run at their home.
Yes.
So they come here, they try to snap ours. It doesn't happen. We beat them in the playoffs. Then we go back to KC, win the title in their own stadium.
That was the main talking point.
I think
everyone,
something's brewing.
Everyone was, hoping for a Pride KC final, although it wasn't going to be possible. But I mean, just an incredible playoffs last year. I think we'll see more of the same this season. Let's talk about the new signings.
Oh yeah.
Or did you want to bring something up?
Yeah, that's what I was going to go into.
Perfect. New signings. Hernandez from Real Madrid, Chifluya from Juarez.
Mexico,
just 2 new signings.
Yeah.
Pride keeping their core pretty much the same.
Yeah, for sure. I don't feel like they really needed any changes, to be honest with you. I think we can all kind of agree that this is one of the best women's teams in the world. You know, these girls, sorry, not guys. They can play against the likes of even Barcelona, I would say. I'd love to see Barcelona Femenil and Orlando Pride. I've said this last year. I remember on Girls Got Game. I remember I said I would love to see Orlando Pride and Barcelona play against each other, because those are probably some of the two, in my opinion, best women's teams in the world right now. Is there anything you would add on to all of this for the Pride?
Just to wrap up.
To wrap up, just I feel like the Orlando Pride is definitely on the journey of having another successful season.
Yeah.
From the new signings, I think, like he said, good signings, just not needed. I think we're definitely
I think they're fine.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Perfectly fine. If anything, the only, I guess, kind of notable transfer was more of just an outbound transfer. It was Adriana going to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
But to be fair, I wasn't really convinced by her in her time here, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think as long as we have the same core of players, I mean, Corey Dyke in the back, she's probably one of my favorite right backs in the league as well.
More house and goal.
Marta in the midfield, Banda up top. It's like
Ali
you have
Watts, quality players.
Yes, Ali Watt as well.
So good.
Even like Summer Yates in the back. And you can't go wrong with however you arrange this team.
And then,
I think it's perfect.
Do you know about Marta?
Well, I said Marta in the midfield. She's not slowing down at all.
I mean, it just keeps going year after year. Yeah. But I hope Giovana Vicentin was watching this. Female Club World Cup, make it happen. The men's are going to have their first this year. Make it happen for the women as well. But from Patrick, from myself, from Mari, thank you so much for joining us for the first time. Hopefully you're back as well. Sean's still in the room. Gio, Brian at the producer's desk. That's it for this week's edition of HTFC. We hope you enjoyed. Tune back in next week. We'll have so much more to talk about. But until next time, take care.